Assalamu alaikum, Khushamdeed, and welcome to Tabadlab's 60-second policy roundtable on Pakistan's freelancing economy. डिजिटलाइजेशन के लातदाद फवायद में एक अहम बुनियादी फ़ायदा ये भी है कि आज के जदीद दौर में हम कहीं से भी बैठ के अपना काम कर सकते हैं. We're not location bound at all. This has enabled the young population to transition from the traditional labor markets to the freelancing domain. Pakistan was ranked as the fourth largest growing freelancing market globally, with many of these freelancers offering services in IT or ITES. The industry has become a catalyst for Pakistan's digital and economic development, offering employment and bringing in forex. Fiscal year 2022 में पाकिस्तानी freelancers ने तकरीबन $400 million पाकिस्तानी export remittances में contribute किया. With the freelancing industry bringing in such massive amounts of remittances, increasing digital exports, creating job opportunities, and then also facilitating integration into the global economy, there has understandably been an increased focus within this area. The government has introduced numerous interventions, the recent one being the National Freelancing Facilitation Policy, which features tax incentives, skill training initiatives, and the recent announcement for subsidized co-working spaces for freelancers specifically. The prevailing discourse, however, on freelancing is often focused on the immediate goal of bolstering remittances by increasing the number of freelancers within the economy. Through this conversation, Tabadlab really aims to explore how the current interventions then align with ensuring the sustainability of the freelancing industry, making sure that it evolves into something greater, and how can it best utilize the current existing talent within Pakistan. To delve further into this topic, I'm joined by an esteemed panel of guests. Please allow me to introduce Hira Zainab, who is Vice President Strategic Affairs at Contour Software. Hira is an industry leader with a proven track record in transformational change in organizations and advocating for progressive digital policies. She's also working closely with the Board of Investment on Pakistan Regulatory Modernization Initiative for the ICT sector reforms, and was also previously the Secretary General at Pasha. Thank you so much for joining us today, Hira. We're also joined by Alishan Akhtar, who is Manager Business Planning and Strategy at Ignite National Technology Fund. Alishan is a seasoned digital strategist with extensive experience in both local and international market. His expertise extends to national policy development, and he has contributed significantly to policies such as the Pakistan Cloud First Policy, National Cybersecurity Policy, and the Personal Data Protection Bill. It's a great pleasure to have Alishan amongst us, and we're really looking forward to having his inputs on how the government is looking at the freelancing industry. Last but not the least, we're joined by Jameel Gohir, who is founder and CEO of Collidatum. Jameel's career spans over 15 years, setting up and scaling technology businesses. He co-founded Collidatum in 2009 to help enterprises and SMEs ensure technology rollouts that are timely and free of defects. Jameel has also been involved in setting up an innovative venture fund based from New York called CoVenture, and a specialized product engineering, which is a specialized product engineering company called Virtual Force. With this esteemed panel, I'm just going to delve right into the topic. The very basics of why there has been increased focus on the freelancing industry today has revolved around the narrative of forex aata hai, job opportunities badhti hain, this is a new way of employment for young people. Hira, if we could gather your thoughts on how critical really is the freelancing industry for Pakistan's digital economy. In your opinion, what are the short-term and the long-term values that we can potentially gain from a burgeoning freelancing industry in Pakistan?
Thank you, Hiba, and thank you, Tabadlab, for having me. So it's a very interesting topic, and I was very, intrigued by it. But I think before we delve into the intricacies and this topic in detail, we need to take a step back. And every time we talk about IT industry, and every time we quote $2.6 billion, $2.7 billion, the figure, we need to look at that, where does it come from? And what kind of resources and professionals do really comprise of the IT industry? And if I summarize it, there are three types of professionals. First are the professionals that are working as part of IT companies in Pakistan. The second are freelancers that you are talking about, which are working, on project basis, on work on hire model, for specific short-term projects in ki needs ke liye. And third is a new type that came. It's not a new type relatively, but it's more growing type that emerged after COVID-19, and that's the remote workers, which are people working remotely from Pakistan to companies outside Pakistan. After COVID-19, that trend has become a norm, and they are paid on much better salaries. That's why they prefer to do that way. And often when we talk about, individual workers, we confuse between the freelancers and remote workers. And the very clear distinction is that remote workers are still associated with one company and they're remotely working. Whereas freelancers have to be good in a particular skill and have to, apply or get a particular gig or project for that particular skill in that demand. Now, if you look at freelancing, and there are different ranks that keep on circulating in the industry, but according to the Online Labor Index published by the Oxford Internet Institute, which is the most reliable one, Pakistan actually ranks third in the world as per the latest number. In 2017, it was on fourth number, but currently it's on third number. If you look at some other benchmarks, they often say fourth number, but that's one of the most reliable one we have when we look at the online labor workforce. Now, if we go into what are those freelancers really doing, and if we understand freelancers' connections to our current economy, so 15% of the IT exports can be attributed to freelancers, roughly $400 million. And how usually they work and how they have come into being is that किसी भी IT industry में generally जब भी service based economy पाकिस्तान की बनने शुरू हुई थी, तो freelancers started working from their home or from their own device. They started going for their own particular project. And जब eventually ये हुआ कि freelancer को जो project मिला वो उन एक freelancer से नहीं serve हो सकता था, तो they started going for 2 to 3 freelancers, 2-3 मिल के friends के साथ उन्होंने करना शुरू किया. And eventually they realized the need to form a company, and then that company can then go for bigger projects and can really attribute to success in that part. And so a lot of the companies, service-based companies in Pakistan that you see, actually started with an individual who started as a freelancer first. But why is this important? The reason why it's important is that, again, if we take a further step back, अगर हम export yield per worker की बात करें, तो agriculture sector में export yield per worker is like, you $400 per year. Textile में $600 per year है. Freelancer की जो export yield per worker है, that is $5,000 per year, which means on average, there could be some freelancers which are earning more and there could be some freelancers which are earning less. But on average, they earn $5,000 per year. Whereas the export yield per professional knowledge economy worker, which is someone working in an IT company, that is $25,000 to $50,000 per year. 5 times more than a freelancer. The reason it's important is that often at times when we are encouraging freelancing, we tend to direct our IT industry wale graduates, people who could become part of an IT company, grow, and then eventually contribute to a bigger, exports. They end up being underutilized by just working alone. And so one of the key things that we are seeing, there are 2 things that we are seeing. One, that if we look at the freelancing की growth, specifically when जब हम देख भी रहे हैं कि 15% attribute हो रही है, 400 million आ रही है, तो the biggest growth in the freelancing gigs is in the non-technical roles, such as content writing, BA, sales, accounting. That's the majority of the population of Pakistan and freelancers that are doing it. And we saw that experience is a significant increase of 297% in 2022. But these are the kind of roles that we are witnessing will be replaced with AI. So these non-technical roles, if we have to divert resources, then actually हमारे जो 400,000 annual graduates हैं जो कि IT के नहीं हैं, so 4.5 लाख हमारे annual graduates हैं, उनमें से 45,000 engineering के हैं, 4 लाख हमारे non-IT graduates हैं. If we divert them to the all the roles, non-technical roles, they could really be able to have their own living. But for the IT graduates, one of the biggest things that we need to take a step back and look at is that their contribution to the economy is best when done in the company, as well as from a larger perspective. So that's just on a holistic view.
Thank you so much for that, Hira. I'm genuinely really excited right now and really struggling with kaun sa point pick karna hai, because you really hit the nail on the head in terms of the kind of conversation we want to have today. Starting from, agar aap ek company mein honge to aap kitna earn karenge versus freelancers, and even with that difference, why are we promoting freelancers? But I'm just going to pick one thread and really come back to all of these. But ye wala zara zyada controversial raha hai aur shayad iske bare mein itni baat nahi ki gayi. And Jamil, I would like to bring you into the conversation here. हिरा ने बात की कि अगर आप एक IT कंपनी के अंदर हैं, you're going to be earning a lot more and you're going to be then contributing similarly to the economy a lot more. However, अभी तक जितनी recent conversations हुई हैं, उसके अंदर the focus really has been on freelancing. It's been towards let's move everyone towards freelancing industry. Could you sort of talk to us about the kind of incentives for freelancers versus incentive for employees? Abhi recently, taxation bhi dono ke liye different kar di gayi hai, where you're trying to really encourage freelancers. So, jo IT company ke employees hai, wo bhi koshish kar rahe hain ki aap wo freelancer mein aa jaye taaki kam se tax dena pade. So, with that, how is that incentive structure really changing the dynamics of Pakistan's digital economy right now? And I say this with the premise that Hira said, as well as knowing कि पाकिस्तान इस वक्त struggle कर रहा है और इस वक्त जो government ideology set करती है for digital, that really paves the way. What would you say in terms of how have you seen the dynamic of the economy change?
Thank you, Hiba. Thank you, Tabadlab. A very interesting discussion, and I think Hira had already put up kind of a preamble around the overall conceptualization, the way it evolved around freelancing. मैं इसको थोड़ा सा पीछे लेके जाऊंगा. जब हमारी सर्विसेज सेक्टर स्टार्ट हुआ था बैक इन लेट 90s, तो उसमें बहुत सारे जो हमारे सिलिकॉन वैली के में एक्सपर्ट्स थे, इंजीनियर्स थे, जो कि ऑलरेडी वेल एस्टैब्लिश्ड थे, एंड दे हैड प्रॉब्ली मेड फॉर्च्यून्स बिकॉज ऑफ द सिलिकॉन चिप रेवोल्यूशन. तो उन लोगों ने अपनी बैक एंड कंपनीज खोलना शुरू की पाकिस्तान के अंदर. बहुत सारी सर्विसेज कंपनीज जो थी वो फाउंड हुई लेट 90s अर्ली 2000s के अंदर. उसके बाद 9/11 हुआ. 9/11 के बाद देयर वाज अ न्यू जनरेशन ऑफ एंटरप्रेन्योर्स. ग्लोबली थिंग्स वर नॉट हैपनिंग, बट दिस एंटायर गिग इकोनॉमी गॉट स्टार्टेड एट दैट टाइम. बहुत सारे उस वक्त प्लेटफॉर्म्स बने. आई स्टिल रिमेंबर एक Elance का प्लेटफॉर्म था, फिर Odesk था, फिर कुछ और थे, फिर ऐसे सब मर्ज होते हुए अब एक अपवर्क बन चुका हुआ है, व्हिच इज अ वेरी लार्ज प्लेटफॉर्म. वो जो नई इकोनॉमी एंटरप्रेन्योर्स थे पाकिस्तान के who were not able to find jobs and probably thought to take charge of things themselves, उन लोगों ने अपनी कंपनियां बनानी शुरू कर दी. अब of course पाकिस्तान के लिए travel और fetching out business globally by physically going there into different geographies was very tough for Pakistanis, especially young males. So most of them were basically dependent on these forums. और इन forums पे जब उन्होंने अपना काम मिलना शुरू हुआ तो ऐसा ऐसा कंपनीज एस्टैब्लिश हुई, चीज़ें ग्रो करना शुरू कर गई. और उसके बाद फिर एक लेट 2000s के अंदर 2008-9 के अंदर एक पूरी मोबाइल रेवोल्यूशन आ गई. That actually opened up this whole concept for a lot of other people who were into IT-enabled services or any other kind of a gig that could be done through internet. बेशक वो भले एक virtual assistant ही क्यों ना हो, but ranging from medical records, data entries, virtual assistants, any kind of other small little gig that can be done. Things were happening, and they kept on evolving. What sort of implication does it have on Pakistan? Well, of course, you are earning dollars, your exports are going higher. How is the government thinking around it now, as of today? It's a lowest hanging fruit. Simple economics. आप 1 मिलियन फ्रीलांसर अपनी इकोनॉमी में ऐड कर देते हैं, और जैसा हिरा ने बताया कि वो ऑन एवरेज अगर 500 या $1000 कमाता है, दैट्स से अगर $1000 कमाता है, तो आप अपनी पूरी इकोनॉमी में $12 बिलियन पर एनम ऐड करते हैं थ्रू दैट 1 मिलियन फ्रीलांसर. Imagine the kind of workforce that exists in Pakistan. From the government's perspective, is it hard? No. Can you do small little things to enable this 1 million people in the next 5 to 7 years? Very much doable. Can any other industry bring in that kind of a dollars to Pakistan? Probably no, in that shorter span of time. 12 billion ki addition is huge, and it's very much doable in the IT sector as opposed to any other sector. So, this lowest hanging fruit ke upar, I think the government is looking into it. They have incentivized, they have given different kind of opportunities. But yes, where this has a positive impact and will have a positive impact, there are certain things that we need to look into as an industry and as government as well. Does Pakistan want to be called just a freelancing economy? I mean, coming from the IT sector, I would say my independent opinion would be we should not. We should definitely leverage that, but we should rather move towards creative economy, innovation economy, knowledge building and product building economy, rather than just a freelancing economy. Because yes, freelancers can give us the lowest hanging fruit, lekin collectively, that kind of innovation that happens, that kind of research that happens, that kind of input that goes into building innovative products and ideas that has ability to grow multiple of X from where they started, that is not going to come through this kind of a freelancing economy in a long run. If India today has been able to grow to almost, I think, $300 billion of exports through IT, it's not primarily dependent on their freelancing gig. They were able to nourish and nurture their initial organizations who started as a services organization, got evolved into a product development organization for international clients, got evolved into kind of knowledge economy and intellectual property rights organization with their own innovation and ideas and products that they were able to launch and sell globally. And then also able to fuel that startup culture within India that was able to really grow their internal economy and have unicorns established, which were IT-enabled unicorns, who were able to solve critical problems within India. अगर पाकिस्तान ने भी grow करना है उस direction में, तो freelancing के साथ-साथ we also need to look into these other elements as well simultaneously, because we cannot ignore one thing and just start focusing on the other thing. This would be my short, quick answer.
You have to grow a more deeper economy rather than just a very shallow one that focuses only on one aspect. I think that's a key point that I took from Jamil's response to our earlier question of किस तरह development जानी चाहिए. But उन्होंने ये बात भी की कि जहाँ positives हैं वहाँ negatives भी हैं, but that doesn't mean one offsets the other. And I think the key point is कि आप capitalize करें on what the positives are and you try and mitigate and minimize the risks. Alishan, if we can have some insight and input from you in terms of how is the government looking at this? What's their analysis of where the opportunity risk balance can come in? I know the national freelancing policy has come in with a lot of input from Ignite as well. And Ignite has been also really encouraging the freelancing industry. और काफी अच्छा काम भी हुआ है उसकी वजह से इतने लोग upskill हुए हैं. But how is the freelancing industry economy and its understanding really positioned within Pakistan's broader development agenda in the next few years?
Thank you, Eva. So I would add on to what Hira said, क्योंकि Hira ने उसमें से एक जो बात की rightly pointed out कि 3 types of freelancers का बताया, and then I'll move towards what what the government is thinking about and what the government is planning. तो उसमें से एक जो part था, that was ऐसे freelancers जिन्होंने initially as freelancer start किया, but with the passage of time उन्हें पता लगा कि the type of the amount of work that they are getting वो अकेले नहीं कर सकते, so they formed companies और जो एक organic process के through फिर वो grow उन्होंने किया. दूसरी जो चीज़ थी तो इसका मतलब है कि फ्रीलांसिंग को भी अगर हम फ्रीलांसिंग को सपोर्ट करें तो अगर तो हम वो सपोर्ट करते हैं तो जो हाई अर्निंग कैपेबिलिटी है कंपनीज की वो विद द पैसेज ऑफ टाइम फ्रीलांसिंग से भी हासिल हो सकती है. दूसरी जो चीज़ थी वो ये थी कि अराउंड 30,000 40,000 IT ग्रेजुएट्स हर साल प्रोड्यूस होते हैं पाकिस्तान में. उसमें से पाशा की एक रिपोर्ट थी विच वाज द डिजिटल डिवाइड और उसमें रेफर किया गया था गैलप सर्वे को जिसमें कहा गया था कि अराउंड 10% ऑफ दोज ग्रेजुएट्स आर एम्प्लॉयबल. तो जो IT कंपनीज हैं पाकिस्तान में वो सिर्फ उनमें से 10% ग्रेजुएट्स को ही एम्प्लॉय कर सकती हैं. एंड वी हैड अ लॉट ऑफ डिस्कशन विद द IT कंपनीज और जो एम्प्लॉयबिलिटी पर्सपेक्टिव है उस पर अच्छी खासी बात हो चुकी है. सो जो बाकी रह जाते हैं लोग उनके लिए क्या अपॉर्चुनिटी हो सकती है, उसमें से वन ऑफ द अपॉर्चुनिटीज इज फ्रीलांसिंग. इनिशियली आपने जब बात स्टार्ट की तो आपने कहा कि फ्रीलांसिंग की तरफ रिसेंटली काफ़ी इंटरेस्ट डेवलप हुआ है और उसमें से एक रीज़न ये भी है कि बैक इन द डेज व्हेन वी स्टार्टेड वर्किंग तो उस वक्त हमारे पास जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटीज ज़्यादा होती थी. टेलको बूम कर रहा था व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड वर्किंग, बैंकिंग सेक्टर बूम कर रहा था, मीडिया इंडस्ट्री बूम कर रही थी. तो ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोग एम्प्लॉय हो रहे थे. आजकल अनफॉर्चुनेटली इट्स नॉट द केस. जितने ग्रेजुएट्स हम प्रोड्यूस कर रहे हैं वो सारे के सारे अनफॉर्चुनेटली एम्प्लॉय एट द मोमेंट नहीं हो पा रहे. तो इसलिए जो फ्रीलांसर्स हैं उन के लिए एक ज़्यादा अच्छा यूज केस बन सकता है कि गवर्नमेंट इंटरवेंशन की जाए. पर्सनली और इग्नाइट्स के पर्सपेक्टिव से प्रीवियसली वर्क फॉर मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ IT एज वेल, आई बिलीव के जो आपकी गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से रेगुलेशन होनी चाहिए एडम स्मिथ के मुताबिक हैंड ऑफ गॉड रहना चाहिए मार्केट पे. वो खुद ही मार्केट अपने आप को सेल्फ रेगुलेट करे. तो इंटरवेंशंस होनी चाहिए उनकी इनेबलिंग एनवायरनमेंट क्रिएट करने के लिए. The way government looks at things is कि different layers हैं. The first layer is the legal layer. और फिर इन्हीं layers में मैं आपको बताऊंगा कि government क्या plan कर रही है, क्या interventions कर रही है. तो the first one is the legal layer जिसमें हम देखते हैं कि क्या कोई चीज़ legal है कि नहीं है. जिस तरह unfortunate case है आपकी cryptocurrency का या import of 3D printing, तो उस केस में लीगल नहीं है. तो फॉर्चुनेटली फ्रीलांसिंग इज लीगल. द नेक्स्ट लेयर इज इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर. क्या इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर अवेलेबल है या नहीं है, अगर तो है किन एरियाज में है, उन एरियाज की क्या डेमोग्राफिक्स हैं, उन एरियाज के लिए क्या इंटरवेंशंस हो सकते हैं और जहाँ पे नहीं है वहाँ पे क्या हो सकते हैं. और फिर मैं लेयर बाय लेयर वो भी बताता जाऊंगा कि कौन से इंटरवेंशंस हो रहे हैं. फिर है कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग. अब लीगल भी है और इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर भी अवेलेबल है. क्या लोगों की कैपेसिटी है कि उसको यूटिलाइज कर सकें? अगर नहीं है तो क्या करना चाहिए गवर्नमेंट को ताकि वो इनेबलिंग एनवायरनमेंट बन सके, उन लोगों को इनेबल किया जा सके. अगर फ्रीलांसिंग के पर्सपेक्टिव्स में देखें तो फ्रीलांसिंग को कैसे, फ्रीलांसर्स को कैसे इनेबल किया जा सके, उनकी कैपेसिटी अगर है तो अगर हम अभी लो हमारे जो फ्रीलांसर्स हैं उनकी अर्निंग लो है, उनको कैसे एनहांस किया जा सकता है. फिर द अदर थिंग इज रेगुलेटरी थिंग्स कि क्या टैक्स बेनिफिट्स देने चाहिए या नहीं देने चाहिए, कितने देने चाहिए. डॉलर रिटेंशन की बात आती है, डॉलर रिटेंशन होनी चाहिए नहीं होनी चाहिए. उनके अकाउंट ओपनिंग के मसाइल आते हैं, उसमें क्या होना चाहिए. तो लीगल पर्सपेक्टिव से तो वी आर कवर्ड. इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर के पर्सपेक्टिव से गवर्नमेंट ने मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ IT स्पॉन्सर्ड नेशनल फ्रीलांस ट्रेनिंग प्रोग्राम जिसमें 20 फ्रीलांसर्स के लिए ऐसे सेंटर्स बने हुए हैं जहाँ पे फॉर एग्जांपल Tier 2 Tier 3 सिटीज हैं और वहाँ पे आपकी इंटरनेट कनेक्टिविटी अच्छी नहीं है, तो एटलीस्ट आप कुछ सेंटर्स में वो कनेक्टिविटी प्रोवाइड कर सकते हैं ताकि वो लोग आके वहाँ पे कर सकें. रिसेंटली अभी वी आर वर्किंग ऑन अ प्रोजेक्ट ऑफ एस्टैब्लिशिंग 1000 ई-रोजगार सेंटर्स, जो बाद में ये पायलट प्रोजेक्ट है जो बाद में एक्सटेंड होके 5000 ई-रोजगार सेंटर्स बनाने का प्रोजेक्ट है। और इसमें भी हमारी ज़्यादा जो कोशिश है वो ये है कि हम टियर 2 टियर 3 सिटीज़ में इनको बना सकें, जिसमें से कुछ फंडिंग आपकी PSDP यानी जो हमारी गवर्नमेंट की फंडिंग होती है वहाँ से आती है, और कुछ इग्नाइट कंट्रीब्यूट करेगा। फिर कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग के प्रोग्राम्स है, हमारे डीजी स्किल्स के प्रोग्राम है जो बहुत ही लोअर एंड को कैटर कर रहे हैं। पाशा के साथ मिलके हमने एक दो और कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग के प्रोग्राम्स अभी डिज़ाइन किए हैं जो कि हम लॉन्च करेंगे बोर्ड की अप्रूवल के बाद, जिसमें हम हायर एंड की स्किल्स इम्पार्ट करेंगे अपने फ्रीलांसर्स को। रेगुलेटरी पे काफ़ी बात हो चुकी है, वी ऑल नो कि क्या क्या टैक्स बेनिफिट्स अभी फ्रीलांसर्स को हासिल हैं और मज़ीद क्या है। हमने रिसेंटली एक स्टडी भी करवाई थी विद आर्थर डी लिटिल, जिसमें हमने ना सिर्फ फ्रीलांसर्स को मौजूदा मसाइल हाईलाइट किए थे, उनका हल बताया है, बल्कि साथ में बेंचमार्किंग भी की है अदर कंट्रीज़ के साथ। और उसी रिपोर्ट को यूज़ करते हुए हम मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ फाइनेंस और FBR, स्टेट बैंक ऑफ पाकिस्तान, सारों के साथ हमारी डिस्कशन, अनफॉर्चुनेटली गवर्नमेंट में इट टेक्स अ बिट लॉन्गर, बट वी आर इन द प्रोसेस ऑफ प्रोवाइडिंग दोज incentives to freelancers. So this is what we've been doing so far.
Some very pertinent points raised, Alishan, and thank you so much for giving us such a detailed view of what the government is doing and how is this being really perceived within the policy quarters of Pakistan. Ek aapne bahut important cheez mention ki thi about the skills and the capacity, and I really want to come back to that. But before that, Hira, could we sort of go back to one point that you mentioned right in the beginning, jo I think baki donon ne bhi mention kiya, कि ये शायद हो सकता है शुरुआत है, and this can lead to something bigger. As Jamil said, कि this can be one of the factors that helps grow your digital economy. और आलिशान ने भी शुरू में यही बात की कि हाँ शायद ये starting point है, and you can sort of build on this and build a far stronger and a more successful digital economy. So no one's here discounting कि important है, but I think उसको थोड़ा सा अगर हम unpack करें कि हम किस तरह से इसका बेहतर use कर सकते हैं. What is that trajectory that we're looking at, or what is that graduation at, if you go at a personal level, what is that graduation journey where we're trying to anticipate and will and hope for the freelancer? If you could talk to us a little about perhaps even pulling in some global examples to understand कि इस वक्त तो ठीक है, low hanging fruit है, but where should we be looking at?
Okay. So thank you, Hiba. I think, again, when we talk about the actual growth, and specifically if we want to become, I would second Jamil when he said we don't want to become a nation that is only for freelancers. We would rather be known for our innovation. We would rather be known for the quality products that we are creating. And but it goes without saying that more than 60% of the workforce that we have, or the population that we have in Pakistan, is less than 30 years old. So that means that their ability to start earning from their homes can be very easily capitalized with freelancing opportunities. But there are two fundamental parts that we need to be aware of. First part is in terms of freelancing work, what is the kind of work that is currently being done by Pakistani freelancers, and how does it relate with the global demand? As I quoted earlier, if we look at the contribution of freelancers in Pakistan in exports, we saw the massive increase and growth in the non-technical roles. And that's the bulk of the freelancer population in Pakistan at the moment. If we compare that with the global demand, a lot of those roles are going to now be replaced. Content writing, copywriting, is tarah ke jitne roles the, as we are seeing in the next, in some cases it has already been replaced, in some cases it's going to be replaced in a matter of months or maybe a year or two. And so we really need to take a step back, in terms of that current Pakistan population. And as I mentioned earlier, कि जो हमारे पास more than 400,000 non-IT graduates मौजूद हैं जिनको we can expose to freelancing opportunities, how can we reskill, upskill them to the global needs that are coming in, which is using AI for these non-technical roles, using AI for content writing, using AI for marketing, digital marketing. So bridging the two is very important if we really want to keep growing in this category. So that's one path. The second path is where we have technology freelancers. And on that part, even what Alishan touched upon as well, we really need to enable those technology freelancers to grow into businesses. Unfortunately, a lot of those freelancers are getting stuck in their silos and it only promoting an unstructured informal economy more rather than contributing to strengthening of the formal economy. So we need to incentivize establishment of businesses rather than incentivizing freelancing only. We need to enable, and we need to we need to focus on the policy ecosystem and factors that will incentivize those freelancers to target and go for bigger projects, which can be only achieved when they set up their own business. So only when we incentivize businesses, then those individual freelancers will grow into businesses and can start really bringing the 5x exports to Pakistan, as I talked about. So I think that as long as we are looking at things from both of these approaches, reskilling, upskilling in terms of global demands, as well as growing freelancers to the businesses, then we will be catering to the growth in the right category, in the right form.
The need to look at both sides has been a constant theme today. कि आप risk को भी देखें, आप opportunity को भी देखें, आप दोनों approaches को देखें, and you try to see where you can marry both of them. I do want to go back to a point that was mentioned by Hirabi as well, कि हम जो काम करते हैं, हमारे जो freelancers काम करते हैं, वो बहुत low order का है in terms of the possible work that can be done through freelancers. And that has been a point of contention, and I've seen a lot of debate go on about that, and I know there are initiatives to sort of take that forward. Jameel, if we can know from you, as someone who's working on ground with a lot of Pakistani talent, where do we fare globally right now? And what skills should we now be focusing on to sort of, जो हिरा ने हमें दो paths बताए, उन दोनों पे चलने के लिए, what are the kind of skills that we now perhaps need to focus on? और अभी वो gap कितना दिख रहा है as someone who is really working in the middle of all of this? How do you see that gap, and what should we be thinking about it?
तो जैसा पहले भी एक स्ट्रक्चर्ड डिवीजन की जा रही थी फ्रीलांसर्स की, एक और एंगल से अगर हम देखें तो कुछ ऐसे फ्रीलांसर्स हैं जो कि वो लो एंड जॉब्स कर रहे हैं, किसी को ग्राफिक डिजाइनिंग आ गई, किसी को डेटा एंट्री आ गई, किसी को मेडिकल रिकॉर्ड्स आ गए, किसी को वर्चुअल असिस्टेंट्स आ गई, किसी के लिए कोई थीसिस लिखना आ गया, या बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स आजकल असाइनमेंट्स बना रहे हैं, दैट्स आल्सो काइंड ऑफ फ्रीलांसिंग. So all these different kind of jobs are coming to Pakistan on different freelancing platforms, and people could be able to and are able to earn from it. Earning is good. If they're earning, that dollar is coming to Pakistan in one way or the other, that means exports are happening and remittances are coming. The question will be, in a grand scheme of things, yes, this seems like the shortest path to addition of multi-billion dollars into your export revenue. But then as soon as you start looking at global avenues, तो बहुत सारी और destinations भी हैं जो कि बड़ी interesting outsourcing destination बनती जा रही हैं, not only for organizations but freelancing as well. South America में अर्जेंटीना है, Eastern Europe में बेतहाशा different countries हैं, Ukraine was one of them. आपका India and Bangladesh are always there. And then we have a lot of nations in the Far East, like Vietnam and others, and Laos and others, जहाँ पर बहुत सारी freelancing talent लोग ले रहे हैं. एक question ये आता है कि a freelancer earning in US and a freelancer earning in Pakistan has a lot of disparity. Well, that disparity will remain. क्योंकि सारा काम अगर आपका generate ही, मतलब US is the largest outsourcing destination और द लार्जेस्ट इम्पोर्टर ऑफ IT and technology enabled services in the world right now. तो नीडलेस टू से कि उन लोगों को इतनी डिमांड है कि वो बाहर से चीज़ें ले रहे हैं, और अगर उनको कोई ऐसा टैलेंट चाहिए जो कि इन हाउस मिल रहा है तो दे आर डेफिनेटली गोना पे देम हायर. Why do people get work from Pakistan or similar countries? Because there is a significant disparity of pricing that exists. And when it comes to Pakistan and multiple other options, so that's where the competition gets established as well. अब मेरे ख्याल में अगर एक लेट्स से फ्रेश ग्रेजुएट है या 4-5 साल के एक्सपीरियंस का एक बंदा है जो कि आपकी टिपिकल इंडस्ट्री के अंदर आता है, ही इज़ नॉट अ हार्डकोर इंजीनियर, उसके लिए एक $1,000 अर्न करना पर मंथ ऑनलाइन इज मच ईजियर एज अपोज टू जस्ट ज्वाइनिंग सम ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, ग्रोइंग अप देयर करियर लेडर एंड स्टार्ट अर्निंग अबाउट 3 लाख रुपीस पर मंथ. दैट्स प्रीटी आई वुड से स्टीप. लेकिन ऑनलाइन वो जाएगा तो विद इन फ्यू मंथ्स हो सकता है ही इज एबल टू लैंड सम काइंड ऑफ अ गिग इकोनॉमी जॉब जो कि उसको $1,000 पर मंथ रेवेन्यू दे सकती है और वो अपनी एक अच्छी ज़िंदगी बसर कर सकता है. अब हमें क्या करने की ज़रूरत है? हमें अपने इस टैलेंट पूल को कैटेगराइज करने की ज़रूरत है. एक हमारा वो टैलेंट पूल है जो कि 40-50 हज़ार CS ग्रेजुएट्स निकल रहे हैं, वो डिग्रियां लेके निकल रहे हैं. वी नीड टू अपस्किल देम ताकि वो ये $1,000 की बजाय 4-3-4 हज़ार डॉलर, $5,000 वाले काम कर सकें और पाकिस्तान वही एक बंदे से 5x कमा सके जो कि प्रॉब्ली एज एन फ्रीलांसर वो बंदा सिर्फ X कमा रहा होगा. उसके बाद फिर आपका बहुत सारा बल्क ऑफ यूथ है जो कि नॉन कंप्यूटर साइंस ग्रेजुएट्स हैं या प्रॉब्ली ग्रेजुएट्स भी नहीं हैं, वो सिर्फ एक इंटरमीडिएट या मैट्रिक बैकलरेट उन्होंने किया हुआ है, लेकिन उनकी इतनी सख्त ज़रूर है कि वो कोई हुनर रखते हैं या कोई एडोब फोटोशॉप का या किसी डिज़ाइनिंग का या किसी गेम डिज़ाइनिंग का या किसी और चीज़ का जिसकी वजह से वो कोई ना कोई इंटरनेशनल जॉब कर सकते हैं. उन लोगों को हमें मज़ीद ट्रेन करना है, अपलिफ्ट करना है, अपस्किल करना है कि वो ये एबिलिटी क्रॉस कर चुके हुए हैं कि वो ना सिर्फ ऑनलाइन अपनी प्रोफाइल बना सके बल्कि उन्होंने इंटरनेशनली एफर्ट करके अपनी प्रोफाइल भी बना ली और अपना एक सीक्वेंस ऑफ वर्क भी क्रिएट कर लिया जो कि मज़ीद काम लेने में उनको हेल्पफुल हो रहा है. हाउ कैन वी अपस्किल दोज? और फिर एक तीसरी कैटेगरी है जो कि अभी उस कैटेगरी तक भी नहीं पहुंची, उनको हम सिर्फ इनेबल ही कर सकें कि लेट्स से एक सेकंड टियर सिटी में और थर्ड टियर सिटी में कोई बैठा हुआ है और लेट्स से उसने FA किया हुआ है, FSC की हुई है, उसको किसी हद तक इंग्लिश आती है, कम्युनिकेट कर सकता है, इंटरनेट सीखा हुआ है समहाउ, उसको इनेबल करेंगे वो $500 से $1,000 भी अगर कमा लेता है, लेट्स से $500 भी अगर वो कमाना शुरू कर देता है महीने के, तो ही इज़ ऑन अ हायर साइड ऑफ द ब्रेड विनर्स दैट यू विल सी अराउंड इन दोज सोसाइटीज़. मैं आपको उसकी मिसाल देता हूँ. हमने अभी रिसेंटली फैसलाबाद का टूर किया एज पाशा, सो वी एस्टेब्लिश्ड आवर एक्सटेंडेड हब ओवर इन फैसलाबाद. वहाँ पे बहुत सारी मतलब इमर्जिंग बडिंग एंटरप्रेन्योर्स एंड ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस दैट एग्जिस्ट. Slowly, gradually, from gig economies, they were able to evolve some kind of, I would say, small organizations doing services or building SaaS products which were being sold globally. अब वो अक्सर 5-10 बंदे अपने घर में बैठे हुए हैं या घर की कोई सेकंड फ्लोर ले लिया या कोई रेंट आउट कर ली छोटी सी बिल्डिंग, थोड़ा सा किराया दे रहे हैं, उनको इंटरनेट एक्सेस है और वो वहाँ पे $2-3 हज़ार कमा रहे हैं पर पर्सन, which is seemingly a lot as opposed to the kind of probably neighborhood or other societal landmark that exists in terms of earning. लेकिन जैसे ही ये लोग आहिस्ता आहिस्ता ग्रो करेंगे तो देखा देखी बहुत सारे और लोग होंगे which will follow that path as well. So what essentially you would be doing is you are enabling people to stay in their own vicinities, own second tier, third tier, fourth tier cities and earning globally at par with what they could have imagined to come to Lahore, Karachi, Islamabad and earn from here. तो अब एक लिहाज से अपनी ट्रैफिक माइग्रेशन जो है आपकी जो अर्बन सिटीज़ की तरफ है उसको भी किसी हद तक कंट्रोल कर रहे हैं. तो अब इस तरह अगर आप डिवाइड करते हैं कि आपके एक CS ग्रेजुएट्स हैं उनके लिए एक डिफरेंट तरह का माइंडसेट होना चाहिए या पॉलिसी होनी चाहिए, एक आपके नॉन कंप्यूटर साइंस ग्रेजुएट्स हैं उनके लिए एक डिफरेंट तरह की पॉलिसी होनी चाहिए, एक आपके टोटली ही मतलब नॉन ग्रेजुएट्स हैं जिनके पास फिर भी हुनर एग्जिस्ट करता है और वो कुछ ना कुछ कमा सकते हैं, बल्तिस्तान में बैठे हुए, बिहाड़ी में बैठे हुए, किसी और जगह पे बैठे हुए, तो उनको हमने कैसे इनेबल करना है? I hope this answers your question.
It does. I was just about to say, I think this was very, very nicely put, especially with the categories that you created. The idea of having a targeted and tailored incentivization and enablement of these people, I think, is the crucial and critical part of it. Isi ke andar, I think I would want to pull Alishan into the conversation right now, also because I know Digi Skills hota hai, and every time I've spoken to you, we've really talked about it and the impact that it has been creating. The reason I want to focus a lot more on the capacity building part of it is because ये तभी उतना कमा सकते हैं जब इनकी capacity increase होगी उतनी, and that's the trajectory that we're looking forward to. The individual within the system is critical and important for the system to grow as well. So, Alishan, if you could comment on अभी जो आप programs run कर रहे हैं, given the current situation that Jameel has painted, where do you see that potential? How much of it is there? Can Pakistan really have an edge globally in terms of the freelancers that we produce? And within these programs that we have for skilling, isme industry ki kitni input hai? So just trying to understand कि क्योंकि जब तक industry set नहीं करती वो benchmarks या बताती नहीं है कि what is needed, it's very difficult to bridge that gap. So I'm also just trying to understand कि ये जो programs बनते हैं, how are we deciding what needs to be done and how is that data coming through to the government?
जी, absolutely. हम जितने भी programs बनाते हैं at Ignite, we actively engage with the industry, जिसमें पाशा है, हम individually भी industry stakeholders से मिलते हैं और उनकी इनपुट के बाद ही प्रोग्राम्स बनते हैं. आपने डीजी स्किल्स की बात की और उससे पहले हिरा और जमील ने भी हाईलाइट किया कि ना सिर्फ ये कि हमारे पास फ्रीलांसर्स की डिफरेंट कैटेगराइजेशन होनी चाहिए, बल्कि जब वो कैटेगराइजेशन हो जाए तो उसके अकॉर्डिंगली फिर हमने उनकी स्किल्स आइडेंटिफिकेशन भी करनी है कि उनको कौन से स्किल्स हमने इम्पार्ट करने हैं. डीजी स्किल्स से रिलेटेड इसीलिए हम जब डीजी स्किल्स का प्रोग्राम करते हैं तो जो इनिशियली डीजी स्किल्स लॉन्च हुआ तो जहन में यही रखे हुआ कि हम बिल्कुल बेसिक लेवल ऑफ डिजिटल स्किल्स इम्पार्ट करें. अब आगे डीजी स्किल्स 2.0 फिर डीजी स्किल्स 3.0 जब हमारे प्लान्स में है तो वो इंडस्ट्री के साथ मिलके ही है. इससे पहले मैंने रेफर किया पाशा के एक रिपोर्ट को, तो वो पाशा की रिपोर्ट फिर पाशा के साथ काफ़ी मिल के हमने एक और जो प्रोग्राम है, सो it would not only cater to the needs of freelancing industry, बल्कि आपकी जो IT कंपनीज हैं उनके लिए भी है, दैट इज द कोडी स्किल्स प्रोग्राम, जो जिसमें वन ऑफ द एस्पेक्ट्स यानी कि वन ऑफ द रिक्वायरमेंट्स जो हम एड्रेस कर रहे हैं दैट इज हाई लेवल प्रोग्रामिंग स्किल्स इम्पार्ट करना. और उसमें भी हेरा के साथ पाशा के साथ मिलके काफ़ी हमारी इस पे मीटिंग्स हुई हैं और उनके इनपुट से ही, क्योंकि हम यानी ड्राइंग रूम पॉलिसीज और प्रोग्राम डिज़ाइंस बनाने के अगेंस्ट हैं. जो प्रोग्राम गवर्नमेंट पे बने वो गवर्नमेंट के वो पब्लिक की मनी से ही बन रहा है तो उसका बेनिफिट भी होना चाहिए. और हम पोस्ट इम्पैक्ट एनालिसिस भी करते हैं अपने तमाम प्रोग्राम्स का, जिसमें हम लेसन्स लर्न फ्रॉम द प्रोग्राम एंड हाउ वी कैन इम्प्रूव द प्रोग्राम. सो बात की कोडी स्किल्स की, दैट इज केटरिंग टू द नीड्स ऑफ वन ऑफ द रिक्वायरमेंट्स. फिर एक हमारा प्रोग्राम जो है जो इंडस्ट्री के साथ मिल के ही हम डिज़ाइन कर रहे हैं, दैट इज सॉफ्ट स्किल्स. हमने काफ़ी ज़्यादा जो टेक्निकल स्किल्स है उसकी तो बात कर ली, लेकिन सॉफ्ट स्किल्स की किसी ने यानी उसकी इम्पोर्टेंस को कोई इतना नहीं यूजुअली कंसिडर करता, जबकि वो बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट है. हमारे लोगों के पास जिनके पास हाई टेक्निकल स्किल्स भी हैं वो उनको भी मसला आता है जब वो क्लाइंट्स के साथ डील करते हैं. द वे दे प्रेजेंट देयर स्किल्स, द वे प्रेजेंट देयर प्रोजेक्ट्स, and then they coordinate with those organizations, those outsourcing agencies, वो बहुत ज़्यादा important है. सॉफ्ट स्किल्स के साथ साथ उन्हीं सॉफ्ट स्किल्स में फिर आपको कस्टमर एंगेजमेंट और बाकी चीज़ें भी सिखानी होगी, क्योंकि एज ए नेशन अनफॉर्चुनेटली हम वो भी काफ़ी उसमें भी काफ़ी लैग करते हैं। तो आपने पूछा इंडस्ट्री के साथ एंगेजमेंट, हम हर एक प्रोग्राम इंडस्ट्री के साथ मिलकर करते हैं। जिस तरह नीड्स इवॉल्व हो रही हैं इंडस्ट्री की, उसी तरह हम अपने जो प्रोग्राम्स हैं उनको भी विद द पैसेज ऑफ टाइम उनको हम जो है वो उसमें चेंजेस लाते हैं। डिजी स्किल्स अभी इनिशियली था, डिजी स्किल्स 2.0 आएगा, फिर डिजी स्किल्स 3.0 आएगा। पीएसडीपी की फंडिंग से इस साल there is a huge amount that is kept for training and upskilling, capacity building के लिए बहुत ज़्यादा programs हैं, जिसमें से कुछ PSEP कर रहा है, कुछ आपके HEC कर रहा है, Ignite कर रहा है। तो we're working on different aspects of the imparting different skills to the industry, जिसमें capacity building is one of the aspect, और with the with time we are evolving our programs as well to cater to the needs of the industry.
Alisha, if I may ask another question related to what you're saying, and I'm sorry, I'll come for another round of questions. But for this specific one, would you say this kind of upskilling programs have also in some way currently tackled or have the potential to tackle the brain drain that the country is experiencing right now?
See, Heba, there are multiple things that is causing it, and upskilling may be adding something to the whole scenarios, but there are other factors. अगर हम macro factors को देखें तो there are multiple other factors. So just saying that by designing these programs, implementing these programs, हम brain drain को रोक सकेंगे, तो I think that wouldn't be possible. इसके लिए एक macro level की analysis करनी पड़ेगी, जिसमें multiple factors है, जिसमें आपकी unfortunately macro economic conditions हैं, वो impact कर रही हैं, बाकी बहुत सारी चीजें कर रही हैं। तो saying that this one program or only capacity building programs can stop brain drain, so I would say no, unfortunately. It can help, but it cannot stop it.
No, of course, understood as that. Just trying to analyze, given that it also leads to more employment opportunities, perhaps this is also something that the government has been keeping in mind in terms of really upping the number of incentives and initiatives that come out. With all of this discussion being the sort of premise that we have, could I just go around the panel to ask how can we really make sure कि हमारी जो trajectory आगे जा रही है, जिस तरह के हिरा ने दो चीजें point out की कि there are two ways to go about it, and I'm sure there might be many other ways to go about it, but can we identify then कि हमें इस point के ऊपर क्या करने की ज़रूरत है to ensure that the growth for the freelancing industry remains continuous and that there is long-term sustainability to it. Your adjustment could be in incentive structures or in our understanding of what the freelancing economy is. Hira, if we could start with you and hear your thoughts on where do we need to go from where we currently stand.
So from the way forward, I feel there are three areas, three key pieces that need to be in place if you really want to prosper. The first key piece that needs to be in place is very strong, solid skill development and capacity development methodology. Now, when I'm saying that, उसमें upskilling भी आ जाता है, उसमें reskilling भी आ जाता है, उसमें हमारे जो हम non-IT की graduates हैं, उनको online freelancing opportunities की तरफ divert करने की बात कर रहे थे, वो भी आ जाता है. So all of that can be covered in a very comprehensive capacity development approach, and we need to look at that from. It's a very critical area not just because of the fact that the current education that is being imparted is not aligned with the industry requirements, but also from a perspective that the current jobs are going to be replaced in the years to come. So we need to focus on this part specifically if we want to keep growing for upskilling area. So that's the first area. The second area from the freelancing perspective, the fundamental piece that needs to be in place, that is infrastructure. Jameel talked about it. And if we want to capture our tier 2 cities, if we want to capture our remote, जब हम young population की बात करते हैं, we don't define it कि वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ main cities में कितनी है और smaller cities में कितनी है. So much of our young population can be really, unki energy can be channeled to things that can be really good for economy. And that is often hindered by, unfortunately, our internet connectivity issues. I've been to Sawat multiple times. I have met people there. And the kind of people, jo Hunza mein, Gilgit mein, Skardu mein, wahan pe they are continuing to do freelancing. They are continuing to provide IT services by using mobile data. And I feel that's not, that affects their interruptions, that affects their, unki quality of the work that is being done. So infrastructure is a key component that needs to be in place, specifically for the underprivileged areas and, tier 2 cities. And the third fundamental piece is our, ecosystem in terms of policies to incentivize, policies for the digital economy, policies for the knowledge economy. As long as we are taking care of these three, and all three need to be supported by two areas. One, research, because the thing with technology and IT industry is that what's in demand today, it's not going to be in demand a year from now. And we have seen that happen very clearly. And I will take a moment to say that, so when I was leading Pasha, we published up the first ever skill requirement analysis, which identified some areas as the key requirements for IT industry. 2 years now, there's saturation in those areas and there are new areas. So IT industry is continuously evolving. If we keep on going back to dated reports and we do not look at what's the latest requirement of the industry, we will not be really pacing with the global demand. And the second, so all these three areas first need to be supported by research, and the second area that they need to be supported with awareness. Awareness is in our population, awareness in our schools, awareness in our trainers, awareness in our teachers. It also goes back to our K-12 education perspective because they are not exposed to how IT industry is evolving, and a lot of the teachers in our schools do not have that kind of exposure. So unless we go for that mass level awareness, we will not achieve the objectives that we want to achieve.
Capacity, infrastructure, and policy ecosystem. I think, Kira, you've covered the breadth of all that we discussed today. Within this, I would also want to get Arishan's opinion on यहाँ से आगे हम कहाँ जा रहे हैं, या आपके ख्याल में कहाँ जाना चाहिए, and are we on that route or are we not on that route?
Okay, I'm unmuted. So I'll second Hera, and initially, as I said, 4 layers हैं हमारे perspective से. The legal side is covered, so the remaining 3 are infrastructure, capacity. अब infrastructure चाहे internet connectivity हो, चाहे availability of laptops हो, चाहे और ऐसी चीजें हो, centers हो जहाँ पे वो आ सके. The second is capacity building, चाहे वो हमारी यूनिवर्सिटीज से ग्रेजुएट निकल रहे हैं और चाहे ऐसे लोग हो जिनके पास कोई डिजिटल स्किल्स ना हो, चाहे ऐसे लोग हो जिनके पास स्किल्स हैं लेकिन उनको अपस्किलिंग की जरूरत है, और K-12 भी इम्पोर्टेंट है. फिर जो थर्ड चीज है, पॉलिसी से बियॉन्ड में जाके, पॉलिसी यूजुअली गवर्नमेंट में इट लेज डाउन द फाउंडेशन, लेकिन जो चीज चाहिए होती है और पॉलिसी में एंकर्स प्रोवाइड किए जाते हैं जिनकी बेस पे इंटरवेंशंस होती हैं. तो वो एक्शनेबल इंटरवेंशंस बहुत ज़रूरी हैं जो उन पॉलिसीज से निकलें, और वो इंटरवेंशंस मोस्टली रेगुलेटरी इंटरवेंशंस होनी चाहिए ताकि जो एक एनवायरनमेंट है उसको फैसिलिटेट किया जा सके। जहाँ तक आपके क्वेश्चन का सवाल है कि कहाँ जा रहे हैं, तो फ्रॉम माय पर्सनल ओपिनियन एंड गवर्नमेंट्स perspective, I think we are very much optimistic about the future, and the programs that we are designing and working with the industry for Pakistan hopefully will move ahead. और हमारे जो exports के targets हैं और जो हमारी बाकी हमने अपने लिए अचीवमेंट टारगेट्स रखे हुए विल बी एबल टू अचीव इट। एंड जो हमारी इकोनॉमी है वो एक ट्रेडिशनल इकोनॉमी से मूव होके इवॉल्व होके हम एक टेक्नोलॉजी ड्रिवन इकोनॉमी की तरफ जाएंगे इंशाल्लाह।
Jamil, I was saving the best for the last. With the government being very positive of what they're doing and the sort of results that they'll yield with this, and then your earlier comments about how the digital economy overall, and especially the freelancing industry, has to evolve in the coming years for the digital economy of Pakistan to actually truly benefit. And the idea that freelancing economy is only one aspect and one part of that broader digital economy, and we need to make sure that we're focusing on all aspects of it. With that being said earlier in the conversation, what would you say needs to be changed or continued within the current existing incentive structures, whereby one may say that benefits to the freelancers are coming at the cost of employees within other parts of the digital economy?
So I think more or less Hira and Alishan covered the aspects which are required to be done from within. From an entrepreneur's perspective, I always push people to think from outside as well, क्योंकि हम अक्सर एक चीज़ को डिस्काउंट करते हैं कि हम सारा कुछ घर बैठ के कैपेसिटेट कर देंगे, लेकिन अगर एक्सेस टू अपॉर्चुनिटी, एक्सेस टू नॉलेज, एक्सेस टू ट्रेंड्स नहीं एग्जिस्ट करता, तो एक जो स्टार्टर है उसके लिए कोई डायरेक्शन नहीं एग्जिस्ट करती. Pakistanis are inherently not good marketeers. We are not good salespeople. We don't know how to project ourselves. We don't know how and where to find things. We are not resilient enough to keep trying things out as well. तो एक जो एरिया जहां पर I would want, देखें, अगर काम आएगा और मुझे वो मिल रहा है और वो मैं कर सकता हूँ, मैं अपना लैपटॉप भी खरीद सकता हूँ, प्रॉब्ली मैं कहीं ना कहीं जाकर अपने आप को रीसेटल भी कर सकता हूँ. नॉट सेइंग कि सेकंड ईयर थर्ड ईयर सिटीज के अंदर electricity supply and internet supply needs to be upgraded as an infrastructure. That is mandatory. Lekin as somebody who is a breadwinner and who wants to earn, I can still find my ways through. मैं लैपटॉप भी खरीद सकता हूँ, मैं अपनी रिक्वायर्ड हार्डवेयर भी परचेज कर सकता हूँ अगर मुझे वो काम मिल रहा है. लेकिन सवाल ये है कि मुझे वो काम मिल रहा है. वो काम मिलने के लिए गवर्नमेंट क्या कर रही है? अब जो यूरोपियन कंट्रीज हैं, बहुत सारे अगर आप मुल्कों में जाते हैं, वहां पे उनके बड़े स्पेसिफिक रिसर्च यूनिट्स हैं जो कि अपने कंपनीज को और इंडिविजुअल्स को इनेबल करते हैं थ्रू एक्सेस टू नॉलेज, कंटेंट एंड डिफरेंट ज्योग्राफीज. फॉर एग्जांपल, वी इन्वेस्टेड इन वन ऑफ द कंपनीज इन स्वीडन. फ्रॉम स्वीडन दैट कंपनी वांटेड टू स्केल इन यूके. वहां पे बिजनेस स्वीडन की एक नाम की ऑर्गेनाइजेशन है जो कि फंड करती है उस रिसर्च को कि यार इस कंपनी ने अपने आप को अब स्केल करना है दूसरी जगह पे, या इस इंडिविजुअल ने अपने लिए इस मार्केट को ओपन करना है, तो इनको हम किस तरह की एक्सेस टू इंफॉर्मेशन, एक्सेस टू ट्रेंड्स, एक्सेस टू पार्टनर्स, एक्सेस टू अपॉर्चुनिटीज दिलवा सकते हैं. दैट इज वेयर देयर इज एन इंजन फ्रॉम द गवर्नमेंट वर्किंग टू ट्रिगर सेल्स, टू ट्रिगर मार्केटिंग, ट्रिगर इनेबलमेंट इन फॉरेन डेस्टिनेशंस फॉर देयर होम ग्रोन बिजनेसेस एंड इंडिविजुअल्स. पाकिस्तान में अनफॉर्चुनेटली उस डायरेक्शन में हमारी सोच एग्जिस्ट नहीं करती. वी वांट टू सॉल्व एवरी प्रॉब्लम विच इज फ्रॉम द होम, बट वी डोंट वांट टू थिंक फ्रॉम द आउटसाइड पर्सपेक्टिव. क्या दुनिया को क्या चाहिए? हिरा ने बड़ी अच्छी बात की, क्या जो आज है वो अगले एक साल में नहीं है, लेकिन आया हम इतने फार साइटेड हैं कि हम उस चीज को डिटर्मिन कर सकें. और वो डिटर्मिन कब होगी? जब आप खुद उन डिफरेंट ज्योग्राफीज में जाएंगे. अब हर फ्रीलांसर तो उस ज्योग्राफी में जा नहीं सकता. आया कोई ऑर्गेनाइजेशन, कोई डिपार्टमेंट, कोई गवर्नमेंट का अदारा इस चीज के ऊपर, इस सोच के ऊपर काम कर रहा है? और दूसरा, हमें अपना एक जनरल ब्रांड बिल्ड करने की जरूरत है. आई थिंक टेक डेस्टिनेशन पाकिस्तान इज अ ग्रेट इनिशिएटिव बाय MOITT and it needs to be further published and further scaled in multiple other countries, but through more strategic input. क्या अच्छा दुनिया में let's target top 20 IT importing nations. Let's not go everywhere. इन 20 कंट्रीज में हमने अपनी एम्बेसीज को ट्रेन करना है, अपने एम्बेसडर्स को ट्रेन करना है, अपने ट्रेड कमर्शियल अटैचीज को ट्रेन करना है, हमने वहां पे अपने, बल्कि यहाँ पे हमने उनकी जो काउंटर एम्बेसीज हैं उनके साथ रिलेशन बिल्ड करने हैं, ताकि हमारे फ्रीलांसर को, किसी को अगर वहां पर जाना पड़ता है, उनको टाइमली वीजाज मिल सके, फैसिलिटेशन मिल सके. वी नीड टू हेल्प देम ओवर देयर व्हेन दे गो, हाउ दे कैन एस्टैब्लिश देयर बिजनेसेस, एस्टैब्लिश देयर एंटिटीज, and so many other logistic aspects where we can support them. So this is the way to go, and needless to say, $10-15 billion की addition to this economy through freelancers is inevitable. But do not undermine that the innovation economy in technology and the knowledge economy in technology from organizational perspective can be much higher. One good successful product can earn $10 billion per company in revenue in 5 to 10 years time frame if properly established. Are we doing something long term as well or not? So that is where I want to stop by saying that yes, we must look at it from a good low hanging fruit, and also from a perspective how we can build this kind of a opportunity, knowledge and trend content for our freelancers, but also look into the bigger play that can and have been established over the 30 years, which is the services sector as well as the product sector, and look at it supporting all of it together. क्योंकि देखिए freelancers ये आहिस्ता आहिस्ता they need to grow into, जिस तरह पहले भी बात हुई कि they need to grow into organizations. तो थोड़ा सा काम करेंगे, सीखेंगे, कुछ धक्के खाएंगे, उसके बाद उनको लगेगा कि यार the value, the return on investment is less. How can I grow bigger? Then they will come together, they'll form companies, they'll start serving through companies. Then they'll feel, okay, services is still a way to go, but there is other possibility in terms of innovating, in terms of products as well, that can actually make them 10x what they are making right now. And that's how the whole gradual process would evolve.
I think to add to the points that Hira and Alishan mentioned earlier, कि infrastructure capacity ज़रूरी है, but I think Jamil raised a very, very critical point कि उसके साथ साथ आपने enable करना है उनको कि वो फिर आगे graduate करके भी जाएं, and you have to really help incentivize and enable them to form those companies, form those organizations, which can result in higher gains. Hira, I also noticed you were nodding when I said कि शायद इस वक्त कोई incentive structures हैं जो negatively impact कर रहे हैं IT companies को at the cost of benefiting freelancers, whereas that should be balanced. Can I please have your insights on that before we close?
Yes. Just on the concept, this particular question is very close to my heart because it pains my heart of the way we are, the way our economy is leading to. The current, sometimes we are giving incentives to freelancers at the cost of businesses and industry. Let me give you one small example. There are tax breaks and waivers for freelancers, but salaried population of Pakistan are paying heavy amount of taxes. And जो अभी हम पहले भी बात कर रहे थे brain drain की and all. So when we talk about IT industry is the fastest growing industry, has the potential to address the economic crisis. But that's why I said we need to look at the contributors of IT industry, and we need to give incentives to the IT industry overall and not to one particular population. Because जब हम salaried class पे इतने ज़्यादा heavy taxes कर रहे हैं, then eventually what's happening, and I can quote from actual examples that I know, smaller companies are preferring that their employees get paid as a freelancer rather than paying them salary. Individuals are preferring that they'd rather go for a remote work option and benefit some other company instead of, focusing on growing local companies. Freelancers are no longer growing into businesses because they feel more incentivized in staying as an individual player rather than, an established business. So we currently, with our approach to policy of growing IT industry, unfortunately, a lot of the recent, mayors were to promote informal economy instead of promoting formal economy. And that's a very dangerous route that we are taking. And we have to be very cautious of where it can really lead us. On that note, I think you can conclude.
Thank you, Hira. I think you really took my words, which were going to come up in the summarization. But I'm really glad that this panel had discussed some of the more critical components of the freelancing debate that goes on in the country. इसके कुछ पहलू जो है वो हमेशा खबरों में आते हैं कि ट्रेनिंग इतनी हो गई, इतने exports आ गए. But I think the conversation that we had today, which was more about the digital economy and the economy of Pakistan broadly at a macro level, वो किस तरह से impact होती है freelancers से, freelancers कितने important हैं for this economy और उनकी बेहतरी के लिए और उनकी trajectory को हम आगे कैसे improve कर सकते हैं. For me, the critical points that came up today were that freelancers really do contribute massively to Pakistan's digital economy and have been bringing in the much needed foreign exchange, but that's not where their contribution ends. It goes a lot beyond that. There is a lot more potential, and the government is trying its absolute best to make sure that us potential ko hum ripe hone dein, and we bring it to a stage where the economy can really benefit from the freelancers that are found in Pakistan today. I think rationalization of policies and incentives to ensure that different aspects of the digital economy work together has been a critical point in today's debate. The harmonization remains crucial for Pakistan's digital economy development, and that is the note on which we'll end today. Thank you so much for joining us. We'd like to thank our panel, Jameel, Hira, and Alishan. Thank you for giving us your time and your inputs.
Thank you.